What is up, everybody? It is Trader Kaz, and this is the ultimate TradingView tutorial. I'm going to walk you guys through how to set up your TradingView. We'll talk about light mode, dark mode. We'll talk about your watch list, alerts, and we'll talk about all the tools in TradingView. During my streams, people will ask what I use for ranges or how you get that risk to reward tool, people call it, on the chart. And so in this video, I kind of just want to give an overview of everything, and that way in the future I can always link people to this. And if you know someone who's just getting started with TradingView, you can send them here. So this is what is going to show up when you go to just normal tradingview.com. I can't remember the last time I was on this TradingView homepage, just because I'll always just go immediately to my chart, because that's pretty much the only thing I care about. If you just make your TradingView, you might not have a watch list here. It might just look like this. But to start charting, you can click on chart. And here is my current theme that I'm going with. The layout I currently have is for this YouTube tutorial. And this is the color of my chart that I use, but I'll show you guys how it starts as default. So if you just make a TradingView, this is what it's going to look like. Right now we're looking at the Bitcoin chart. You have these little grid lines in the back, this green and red color theme. You wouldn't have this, but we'll talk about that later. And it's just a plain chart. So first I'll show you guys what I use for mine, because I think these colors look pretty good. I also have a light theme that we can talk about. I think it's called main, but on the streams people have not been loving this just because it is so bright, and I have noticed it is a little easier on my eyes when I'm using the dark theme. So let's start with that one. Dark theme. If you double click on the candles, you can get to all the chart settings. So we'll start with talking about the symbols. You've got the body, the borders, and the wick. You can change these colors to whatever the heck you want. You can get some crazy themes. You can do whatever. But I like to keep it pretty simple. I don't like these really harsh greens, I guess you can say. I mean, it's not that harsh, but I like these ones a little further down. I use 100% opacity on my colors. So the bodies, I have this red, I have this green, borders, wicks, all the same. I don't have the last price line because that just annoys me a little bit. High and low price lines, it'll show you the high and low of whatever you're looking at, but I keep that off as well. Average close price line of the section you're looking at, I also don't think that is super important. The bid and ask, so this is from right here where the closest bid is, where the spread is, what the ask is, but I'm not connected to my broker. You can trade through TradingView, but I like to go to the platform itself. And we're not really going to talk about that in this video because I just don't have much expertise there at all. And then adjust data for dividends, that would be if you're looking at a stock chart. And then you have your time zone, you have precision, I just keep that on default. Moving on to status line, this is everything up here. So open, high, low, close values, which are right there. Show buy, sell options, I usually keep that off. Indicator titles, that's these four. If you have any indicators, you can have those on or off. I keep it on. And then indicator values, for instance, if I had this EMA on, the value of where the 200 daily EMA is right now is 24,720. If I click that, it won't be there. So that's a quick overview of that. Moving on to scales, there's nothing that I change here. I leave that all the same. You can have the name of what you're trading here if you're comparing things and have a couple different charts up, but I leave that off, and that's pretty much it there. Appearance, this is one that you can customize a little bit. You can have a gradient from, like, let's say red to blue, but I just keep it solid. I I make the vertical and horizontal grid lines the exact same color as my background. Otherwise, you get grid lines like this. But you could also, another easy fix, no matter what the color is, if you just put the opacity to 0, they won't show up. So either works. Session breaks, I check these on or off here. This is how I know. Why did that not show up? Is it because of this? That's odd. I don't know what setting I changed, but usually when you click the session breaks, I guess I'm I'm not as much of a TradingView expert as I thought I was. I wonder if it's because what we have on here or something. No. Anyway, moving on, I guess. Session breaks, they'll usually just show you where. I wonder why it's not showing up. Oh, it's because we're on the daily time frame. Duh. So it'll just show you where the daily open is, where the day closes. So each of these is the full day of trading. So, all right, I'm not as much of an idiot as I thought. Keep that on blue though, I think. So you can toggle that on and off here, or you can toggle it on and off there. Scales text, this is the Y and X axis. If you make that red, your numbers are red. You make this, the lines are red. And then your crosshair right here, you can change the color of that as well. I like white when I keep the dark background. So moving on from there, watermark, that would show BTC or whatever you're trading in the background. I keep that off as well. And that's pretty much it as far as chart settings go. One other thing you can do is change, if you want just the main TradingView template theme or whatever to be dark mode or light mode right here. It'll say it's going to change this, and then like the background of the watch list and everything like that will be light versus dark. But even if I have a even if I have a light chart background, I still use the dark theme on the sides and outside and everything like that. So we'll go back to this. So that's how I set up my candles, my background, and everything like that. Next, we'll talk about everything that we have going on here. So first off, you have your crosshair. You can have a dot if you want that. You can have an arrow, which is just your normal mouse, or you can have an eraser if you want to erase drawings or do whatever. I just keep it on the crosshair, and I have this favorited, so I have that star checked off right there, and that puts it in my favorites. You can toggle this on and off, but I usually have it on because these are the things I use the most when I'm on TradingView. Moving on, you have a trend line, which is just a straight line. You can put it however you like it. I don't use most of these. I use a horizontal line, which is just exactly what it sounds like. You can use a ray if you want it to start at a certain point and not have it extended on both sides. And I never use a vertical line really. You could use arrows if you want it to point to something, or draw out a path for it. And then channels are another thing you could use. And there are more settings for each of these. If you go into it, if you want it to extend the left, extend the right, if you want a background, etc. So each of these things that you can use, there are more settings inside of them. I'm just showing you guys the basics of it because that's what this video is all about. Here's some more things. The only thing I really use from this section is the fib retracement tool. And I use this for my ranges. So I get a lot of questions about that. Like what tool do you use to put a range instead of just using like 3 trend lines or whatever? I don't know if anyone does that, but this is how I do it. You can put it on your 2 points and then change the settings to extend on either side, extend on the left. You can have a trend line in the middle of it, and you can use this for other retracements. So this template, let me change it to white. has the 0, the 1, and then the 0.5, 0.62, 0.705, and 0.79. So that's Fibonacci retracements. I could talk about that in another video if people want to learn more about those. But these are helpful for when you're looking for how far something is going to retrace. So if you think this price leg right here will retrace 50%, you've got your 50 there. You've got your 62 here, 705, 0.79. So the fib tool I use a lot, and that's why I have it as one of my favorites, because not only do I use it for retracements, but I also use it as a range. So that is definitely one of my most common tools that I use. Let me just look through here a sec. I don't think, like, there's a bunch of other stuff you can use, but I don't even know how to use most of these. So then that's because I am mostly just a price action trader. But for everyone, it's going to be different. But with that being said, this is definitely what I use the most. I use this for ranges. I use this for pretty much everything. Moving on, I use this one quite a bit. The brush, I'll kind of draw plans with it. The highlighter is new. I haven't used it a lot, but you can highlight things. Rectangle, I'll use this to mark support and resistance. So let's go to our daily time frame. Let's say if this is the support I'm looking at, I'll drag it out like this, use my magnet to get it on the top and the bottom, and then that's how I use a rectangle. You can use them to extend to the right, and that way if you just put it here and here, it'll draw the entire thing if you want that. But to each their own. I like to keep it a little, sometimes I don't like it to go all the way across, and I just want it to end in a certain spot. And so I keep that unchecked. If we click in more settings here, you can add text to it, support, whatever you want to write, and you can align that text in different spots. You can adjust the coordinates of it, and then the style. You can have a border. I leave the border off, but if you want one on, you can have that, and you can change the thickness of it as well as the background. You can pick the colors, extend on both sides, etc. So I use this tool quite a bit as well. I know you can use this to draw predictions or whatever, but I just like to use the brush, and I don't really use any of these other ones. So you can tell the ones that I use a lot: trend line, horizontal ray, Fibonacci, brush, rectangle, text, call out, because I have all these ones favorited. Text, that one's super simple. You type whatever you want in it. And then these you can do a bunch of different stuff with, but it never really is super necessary. Sometimes if I want to draw attention to one part, I'll use the call out. But other than that, this is more just for labeling on your charts. This is if you use Elliott wave theory, which I don't, but you can use this to mark your waves, and then you can use your ABC correction waves, whatever. But that's just where you find those tools. As I said before, trade price action, so I don't use these. This is a big one, the long position and the short position. So this is something everyone should know. When you're entering a trade, you should know where your stop loss is going to be, where your take profit is going to be, and then you can see the risk to reward of your trade. So let's say we wanted to buy this support right here. You put your stop loss at the low, or you put your stop loss wherever you want. This is just a hypothetical trade, and let's say we're targeting 58,628. I would use this long position to see what my risk to reward is, how far away the target is, how far away the stop loss is, and these are super useful for either knowing what your position is and you don't need to check your broker all the time. You can just manage your trades through the chart. And like if you see it, let's say it breaks above here and then you want to move your stop loss up, you can go onto your broker and do that. But this is just a visual representation of the trade that you are in. And then, let's see. We'll talk about the short position. It's the same thing, but just the opposite. Let's say your stop loss is above that high and you're targeting this low. This is a 3.23 risk to reward with your stop loss 1.09% away and a target of 3.51%. The risk to reward basically just means what the multiplier of your risk would be if your target's hit. So if I'm risking $100 on this trade and it's a 3.23 risk to reward, I would make $323 because that's the risk to reward times the risk if my profit target is hit. So that's how you use that tool. I think those should be used at any time when you are taking a trade. Oops, I accidentally just hid that instead of deleting it. So long, short, you can use date range to see how long something was consolidating for or going up for, and then price range to see how big a move was, 4.7%. I use those every now and then, not all the time. Date and price, as it says in the name, just combines the both of those. Bars pattern, I use this every now and then if I want to pull up some price action from a different time. Let's say this, you can put that here, like for whatever, if you're looking for fractals or something like that. These, just a bunch of different icons you can use. I don't really use those. This helps you measure. It basically just does the date and time, but it's easy to click it on and off. Zoom in. I've never used that until just now. Zoom out, same thing. Let's see. Magnet. I usually have the magnet on. There's a weak magnet and a strong magnet. For instance, if you're drawing a horizontal ray, the weak magnet, see how it pulls it right to that wick? So that's what the weak magnet does. If you have the strong magnet on, even if you're up here, it's gonna put your line right on the high or whatever, or the low if you're below it. But the strong magnet just pulls all the way to it. I usually keep the weak magnet on, but if I'm using this, then I'll take it off because I don't like how it kind of grabs. And then this, stay in drawing mode. If I'm using a horizontal ray and you have stay in drawing mode on, it'll just keep making them instead of you click it and then it goes back to your crosshair. So that is another little tool you can use. I don't use that all the time. Lock all drawing tools, does exactly what it says. And then hide all drawings. Let's say you have a bunch of stuff on here. You've got some of these and some of these, and you just don't want to see it. You want to look at just the price action itself. You would hide it. Then you can unhide it whenever you want. Then the trash can, you can either remove all drawings, indicators, or both. So that's a quick rundown of all these tools. The ones I use the most are in my favorite drawing toolbar. We have the brush, trend line, horizontal ray, fib retracement, which I use for ranges, rectangle, long, short, text, call out, and then my crosshair. And you can toggle hide this, or you can click it right here to hide it or make it show up again. So that's a quick rundown of all the tools I use. Up here you have time frames, and you can search between symbols. You don't have to click up there. You could also just type it and it'll automatically search. There's a bunch of different shortcuts you can use, but that might take a bit longer than I would like this video to be, so we might not go through all of those. But here you have your time frames. You can have your favorite ones selected and they stay up there. You can also use numbers to just type in what time frame you want to go to. If you just type the number, it's minutes. If you put an H after, it'll be hours. If you put an M, month, week, day, etc. Pretty self-explanatory. You can change what kind of chart you want to bars, candles, hollow candles, lines, whatever you want. I stick to candlesticks though. If you want to compare two charts to each other, you can use that little plus compare. Here I can pull the Ethereum chart on the Bitcoin one, but don't do that very often. Indicators, I don't use a lot of indicators, but these built-ins are the simple ones. Let's say if you want MACD, you'll click it from there and you have this. If you want RSI, that's another popular one, relative strength index, pull it up, it can be here. You can move these around if I want one above my chart, one below, and then just the X to delete it. But that's the indicator tab. If you're looking for an indicator, it'll be in there. The financials, this would be if you are looking at stock charts. That doesn't apply to crypto. Different templates here. Alerts, you can put an alert when Bitcoin crosses, let's say 60K. And if you don't want an expiration time, you just create that. And now up here, we've got an alert if Bitcoin crosses 60K. So that is what the alert will do. Pretty self-explanatory as well, but this way you guys know where everything is. Replay tool, if you want to do some back testing and not just looking back, you can go like this. I still would recommend to forward test your strategies, but that's a different topic. And then, if you just click this, it'll print one more candle at a time, and you can relive the price action or test strategies or do whatever. If you hit play every few seconds, it'll print the next candle. So that's the replay tool. You can use these arrows to undo something. Like if I put that there, don't want it, undo. I use that a lot if I'm recording a video and we are drawing here, we're drawing here, drawing this, draw this plan or whatever, and I want to get rid of it all. I'll just spam that a few times. So those are the main things. One other layout, you can change this to have multiple charts up. I usually have one because I have another monitor if I want to put a different chart there. Watch list, super self-explanatory. If you want to add something to your watch list, you click this. If you want to delete it, you just hover over it. You can look at all your alerts here, news there, other data. I never use any of this, but I will click on this sometimes. It's the object tree. I guess for this one, let's find something I have something drawn on. Okay, there's a range right here, so I can hide it from there, I can delete it from there. You can do whatever, but that's the object tree. And then I think that pretty much sums it up. We talked about the time frames, everything up here. We talked about all the tools I use. We talked about the layouts. You can go full screen mode here. But I think that answers most of it. I'll quickly show you the light theme if you want to know the colors that I use for that. I like to use a little bit of a gray more than a black. So the bodies for this one are just the normal white. And then the body for my down candles, I use this gray right here in the middle. Borders all black, and everything else is the same. So maybe during the day you can use this. At night you switch to your dark one. Whatever you like, but there's just a ton of customization, and hopefully now you know more about how you can customize your chart. And I think that's pretty much it. TradingView, I use it every single day just to do analysis on whatever I'm trading. It's a super useful tool, and if you use technical analysis, then this is the place to do it. So I hope that's been helpful. Let me know if you guys have any specific questions in the comment section, and I can make a video answering whatever specific questions you guys have. And definitely want to do more educational content. This is definitely a very early beginner video, I guess you could say, but my plan is to just create a playlist with educational content getting you from start to finish of being able to read a chart and do technical analysis. So setting up your TradingView is one of the first things you need to do, and I hope this video has been helpful. So I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the like button to help me get a little bit more exposure with the YouTube algo. I'll talk to you guys soon.